You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
And I'm afraid this one is going to be a lot about politics because I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off. But listen, how many of you are getting ready for Thanksgiving? Getting your recipes ready, getting your menus ready. I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my most favorite ones because it's my favorite holiday because I get to sit, I get to plan, I get to cook, I get to give my heart through my food to my friends and family or whoever shows up. It's one of those holidays that I have always loved. Now, over the last few years, I've missed out on that holiday. I've had to spend a lot of holidays alone. But in Los Angeles, when I lived there, and we had the big house up on the hill, it was a home. And at Thanksgiving time, year after year after year, people would come throughout the day from noontime all the way up until midnight. And they would sit, they would talk, they would tell stories, they would make jokes. It was a day that I truly loved. And a lot of my friends, since I've moved away from Los Angeles, write to me and they text me or they'll email me and they will say, gosh, we really miss those days. Well, I miss those days too because I love Thanksgiving. It was the time where I would get the house decorated up, we get everything getting ready, go out and buy the food. We had a lot of chores that needed to get done for that one special day. And I was smart because I had a lady who would spend time at the house with her husband, and she would clean up. She would do all the laundry. She would do all the washing. She would do all of the dishwashing. And I was so happy because at the end of Thanksgiving Day, I was totally exhausted. But it was that kind of exhaustion that you said, you know what? Today was a great day. I'm so thankful for this day. So I'm planning for Thanksgiving this year also, and I'm sitting down and doing my menus and trying out a little bit of this, a little bit of that to see what works. But if you think about Thanksgiving and what it's truly about being thankful for everything that you have been given, all the blessings that you have during the course of a year, the family, the friends, the laughter. Now, we have been cut out on that because government got involved. The government said, no, we're going to do a lockdown and you guys cannot be with each other. Disgusting mess. Every time that government gets involved, they make life a mess. And those of us who truly do appreciate the people that surround us and want to spend just one day a year with them, we should have that ability. This Thanksgiving is going to be different because you and we are going to spend time with our family and we're going to cook, and we're going to cook whatever we want to cook. Gosh, I have been looking at TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and I tell you, you guys out there are doing a good job at cooking stuff. Every single time I was just on Instagram just before I came onto this podcast, and I was looking at them making all these casseroles, and I'm thinking, my gosh, I am hungry. It's only 7 o'clock in the morning and I am freaking hungry. But that's what Thanksgiving is all about. And we have to be more thankful. You know, we made it through this coronavirus. We're alive. We're in good health. We are walking forward. We're doing great things. We're getting our jobs back. We're starting businesses. We're creating new families. We're doing a whole bunch of stuff. And we got to keep moving forward. And that's what Thanksgiving is about. Remembering, being thankful, and moving forward. Remember, that's what Thanksgiving is about. Now, this morning, I want to talk just a little bit about inflation because the president has come out that, in fact, he made the stupid statement that said this Build Back Better spending and tax package that he's putting out is going to lower inflation. He has absolutely no idea anything. He has no idea what the economy is all about. When you pump money into the economy through the Federal Reserve, that raises inflation. When you overspend tax dollars on stuff that doesn't need to be spent, that raises inflation. When gas prices go up, that's inflation. When our food prices go up, that's inflation. When our very essence of living is going up cost-wise, that's inflation. And the problem with it is that the president doesn't understand how it hurts the American people, because he sits in the White House where the American people, through our tax dollars, pays for every freaking thing that he eats, pays for his transportation, pays for the suits that he buys, pays for the paper that he uses. Everything is provided to him by the taxpayer. And he's been living that way for so many years. For over 40 years, he has served in the federal government and hasn't accomplished anything except taking power and raising the cost of living for all Americans. So when Biden Democrats are sitting there in the Congress this week, they're going to vote on this Build Back Better that is building us into a recession. I want you to take note that these individuals should not be serving in Congress. They should not be serving in the United States. And I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans. If they are voting for this nonsense, we are in trouble. And I'm guaranteeing you, based on my experience and what I have seen in the past, it will raise inflation. Now, Senator Schumer came out this morning and said that the president needs to release the gas reserves because, as you know, the government buys gas reserves and they put it into storage in the days that we need it. So Schumer says the president should release some of these gas reserves to lower the cost. Well, you know how we lower the cost? Not by taking out of gas reserves that are there for an emergency. We increase the amount of oil that we can produce as a country by ourselves. And when President Trump was in office, that's exactly what we were doing. We were self-sustained. We were providing our own gas at much lower prices. But what is happening now is we are having, because Biden has stopped all that, stopped all of our national gas reserves and everything else that we need to build and sell and create and everything else to provide energy for this nation. He said, no, stop it. It was a Trump idea. I'm going to stop it. So our production went down. In fact, it's almost non-existent. And we are importing oil in from foreign governments. First time we've done that in many years. And now we are reliant upon foreign governments again. Just like during the Obama years, so many companies went offshore to produce products that when it came down right now, where we have ships sitting offshore and we have a supply issue that's coming in from China, now we are reliant upon Chinese goods, Chinese places where American companies put manufacturing plants to produce the products at a lower cost, when all of those things should have been produced here in the United States. Those medications, those medical supplies that we needed, that the government of China took away from so many different countries because they needed it. We have a problem. So we have an inflationary problem where you and I are feeling it, but the government officials, they're not feeling it because they are taken care of. But you and I, we have to go out there and we have to work. We have to take 2 jobs on. We've got to do whatever we need to do to survive. Government employees don't need to do that. Do you realize that the average federal government employee is making over $70,000? And the individual that's working out there in mainstream, like you and I, are making much lower than that. They're making down in the 50s, maybe up into the 60s. But that's it. And some of them don't even have health insurance. But government employees do have health insurance. They've got all this sort of stuff, all these goodies that the American people don't get. And what's happening now with this Build Back Better bill, it creates another layer of employees that's going to be hired by the Internal Revenue Service and by other agencies to monitor all of this money that's being spent. We're in trouble here. If you believe the White House that said, oh, this is not going to cost any money from the taxpayer, they're lying through their teeth. I'm surprised that heaven hasn't sent a lightning bolt down and stricken every single one of them in the White House, because they are lying through their teeth. Everything in that bill has to be paid for. And the way it's being paid for is more fees, higher taxes, capital gains taxes, death taxes, gasoline tax, everything. And by the way, gasoline taxes have gone up. And the reason why is because the gas prices have gone up. So when the gas prices go up, you pay more in gasoline tax at the federal level and at the state level. You got to think about that, okay? Because when stuff goes up, that means our taxes go up. It's one of the most highest tax increases that you can ever get is when inflation goes up. If you don't think you're paying taxes, yes, you are. When you go to purchase items in the store or buy gasoline or have repair costs or whatever is going on, when those costs go up, so does the sales and use tax, so does the gasoline tax and whatever, and hotel taxes, everything goes up because those prices go up. Now, in this bill, however, there are some personal income taxes that go up. So if you think this Build Back Better is anything else, all of those tax deductions that you were able to have and tax incentives that you were able to have under the last go around in the tax and the tax law, all of those are going away. So that means your payroll taxes are going up. Your payroll taxes are going to go up. That means as inflation goes up, you're going to pay more and more and more in taxes. Income taxes, buying stuff taxes, if that's the correct term. Purchasing taxes, or whatever you want. Sales and use taxes, gasoline taxes, all go up because the prices on those goods and products go up. So I hate to be lied to. I hate to sit here and listen to the president come out and saying that this is going to help inflation. He's right. It's going to help raise inflation. It's going to help get us to the very next step, which is a recession. Now, a lot of you out there have never lived through a recession in your life. I have. I've had to sit in lines waiting for gasoline because we had a gasoline shortage. Every other day, we had odd, even days that if our license plate was an odd number, we could buy gasoline, and we had to sit in lines. I remember leaving my office during lunchtime, hoping that I could get gas because I needed to make it home, but I didn't because the gas lines were taking so long, and they were running out of gas at that time. We had recession running rampant. Everything was in the economy was absolutely distraught because of the actions of Carter. We had a problem. We had hostages in Iran. We had international issues that were out of control because of a weak president. And we have the same situation now. So here we have a very weak president who doesn't have any international experience, does not have anything to do with the economy, has never touched anything, has never paid for anything. And he doesn't understand how Americans live or have to live. Gosh, when you and I go to the store, what do? We are going through the aisles looking for deals. We're looking at the deals in the paper or the things that come in our mailboxes to tell us where the deals are. We're looking at turkeys and the price of turkeys, to where we can get the cheapest turkey at. It may not be the best tasting turkey, but we have to live within the budget. You and I, government doesn't have to do it. They'll get the best turkeys. In fact, companies out there, turkey farms will donate them turkeys. So when we hear a government official talking about inflation and trying to explain the way it truly means, that they have no idea what they're talking about because they've never lived through it. Now, Joe Biden will probably come up with how he had to live through it as he lived on the Indian reservation when he was a child. I don't know. He will come up with some type of a story. I don't know what it will be. Because he always comes up with these stupid stories that have nothing to do with his life, that was a total lie, that he has never lived before, and the fact checkers are silent. But there are some good fact checkers, and they say, no, that never happened. He never lived on the reservation. He's never even driven a car. So I'm making this stuff up, but those are that's the type of president that we have. He has not done anything. He's never built anything. He's never hired anybody. He's never filed his own tax returns. He's never done any of this stupid stuff. Everything that he has done, he's made money off of you and me. Off of his name. Off of his connections. So, listen, my friends, we are in a situation here where we have inflationary times. So that means that we can't depend upon the government, because we just can't trust the government at this moment on fixing this stuff, because they don't know how to fix it. We need to get people in there that know what they're doing. Gosh, the White House economic guy came out over the weekend saying, oh, this is not inflation. This is not inflation. It is inflation. He's lying through his teeth. Because he doesn't understand the economy and he doesn't understand inflation. You've got these academics in there who have never, ever done anything in life except teach. But they've never handled any type of situation where a business has to deal with every single day on rising costs. Or as a family has to deal with rising costs. And trying to survive on what we do make and put in our pocket. So that means that you and I we just cannot trust what the government is saying about the economy at the moment, because they do not know what they're doing. But you and I do know what we can do, and that is that we have to put our lives, our financial lives, in check. And yes, there's going to be some things that we're not going to get. We're probably not going to get that trip to Disneyland. We're probably not going to get that boat ride out to Catalina. We're probably not going to be able to do a lot of different things that are enjoyable until we get through this recessionary time, inflation and recessionary time. And all of you out there that are good money managers, manage well, because you're going to need that cash flow. You're going to need that cash flow. Remember, when you are going through hard times, cash means that you can negotiate anything. Cash is a negotiating tool to get lower pricing. I am going to pay cash, so what's my discount? That should be your question. I'm going to pay cash, where's my discount? We have to think smarter. We have to think differently. We have to think out of the box, as they say. And I know you can do it because I've seen you do it before. I was watching a very interesting YouTube channel, and it's this lady who cooks, and she is cooking meals of the Depression. When way back in the time where we had this huge depression, and people were starving, and they had to rely a lot on potatoes and hot dogs and stuff like that. And as I was watching, I said, gosh, they were really creative back then. They put together meals made out of small things and made them wonderful meals. That now even today people are watching and saying, gosh, I can do that. I can live on that type of a budget. Now sometimes it's not the most healthy budget, but it's the kind of budget where you can buy items that are lower cost. May not have the best nutritional value, but you can make it up on other things. But they were creative on how they spent their money. Because back then, $1 was a lot of money. They can buy a lot with $1. And that's the mindset that we should have in our mind. What can I buy with my dollar? And I've got cash, and I'm going to spend it wisely. Do not take on any more debt. Do not go out there and buy those cars that you're paying $400 and $500 a month for. You're going to need that cash. We got to think differently. We have got to become creative with our household finances. So I'm so thankful about Dave Ramsey out there and training people every single day and talking to people every single day about how to spend their money. Rachel Cruz, who's his daughter, is also out there talking to you and I every single day on how we can be creative. Check them out. Rachel Cruz and Gordon, not Gordon Ramsay, but, oh my gosh, his last name's Ramsey. My God, my mind just went blank. That means I'm getting old. Shoot, I'm getting old. But they're out there, and they're giving you some ideas of how you can live within a budget, and how to prepare your budgets, and how to work with your budgets. I tell you, if you haven't learned how to prepare a budget, contact me and I'll sit down with you and we'll prepare a budget together. We can do this together. Listen, I provide a service out there at $65 per hour for a 60-minute session with me on business or personal finance or anything like that. So if you need to sit down and put together a budget, I'll sit down with you. I already have a budget ready for you. It's free of charge. That budget online is free of charge. You can go to my website at www.lodge-co.com and click on the 60-minute advisory services. And you'll see in there is a Excel spreadsheet that you can use, and it's free of charge. There's nothing attached to it. I'm not even attached to it. But it's there and it's free for you to download and for you to use. I encourage you to do it. It's free. And you can take your actual budget of what you think you're going to spend and what you need to live within and track it against the actual amount that came out of your pocket. But if you need help, if you feel unsure, spend that 60 minutes with me at $65 and we'll sit down and we will put together that budget together. You can book me online. It's at www.lodge-co.com, and you can book that time and we'll sit down and do it. Okay? It's at $65 for 60 minutes with me, and we'll go through a budget and we'll put it together. You and I. We'll do it together. That is my lecture for today. So we talked about Thanksgiving and how thankful we should be, and we talked about inflation and how we need to be more creative in our spending and in our saving and putting together a budget. So the final portion of this is I want to give you some words here, and that is that you can make it through this. You will make it through this. And you always have me. I'm going to be here every single day. And if you need to talk to me, and if you're having a problem in your family, and if you're having a situation where you're having family issues come up that you need to have mediated, let me know and I'll sit down with you. But you have sources, you have resources out there of people who can help you. Take them up on what they can do for you. But I want you to know that no matter what happens in the next few months as we go through this inflationary to recessionary time, you and I are going to make it through because we are in control and we are much, much smarter than the U.S. government. This is Mike Lodge. I hope everyone has a great day. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye. This podcast is produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.